My stepdad secretly moved his daughter and her family into my apartment, dumping my things in the garage. He shrugged. She deserves this apartment more than you. To make matters worse, Mom sided with them. So, I did it. Well, let's go. My name is Claire Wilson, and at 25, I've been living in a cramped staff apartment on the opposite coast. Trading the familiar streets of my hometown for a temporary assignment that promised to boost my career. The apartment is functional but sterile. Nothing like the cozy 3-bedroom place I inherited from my dad back home. Dad died in a plane crash just a year after I finished college. The news hit me like a physical blow. One moment he was texting me about his business trip. And the next, his name was on a passenger list on the news. He left me his apartment, enough money to give me stability, something he always worried about providing after my parents' divorce when I was 13. The divorce wasn't messy, just sad. Dad moved into his own apartment while Mom and I stayed in our family home. I visited Dad on weekends, and for 2 years, we settled into a new rhythm. Then Mom met Richard. Richard wasn't terrible. He was just there, taking up space that used to be ours. 2 years after the divorce, Mom remarried and Richard moved in. A year later, when I was 16, they had a son. My half-brother Ethan. Claire, could you watch Ethan while we go out tonight? Became Mom's most frequent sentence to me. Nah. How was school? Or, how are you feeling? Just requests related to her new family. Then there was Jessica, Richard's daughter from his first marriage. 10 years older than me, she was already married with a baby when our parents got together. She visited frequently with her husband Mark and their kid, and Mom fawned over them like they were royalty. I was 17 the first time I realized I'd become an afterthought in my own home. It was Christmas, and Jessica was visiting with her family. Mom had converted my bedroom into a guest room for them, moving my things into the smaller office space without asking. It's just for the holidays, Mom said, not meeting my eyes. Jessica needs the space for the baby's crib. I nodded and said nothing, but something shifted inside me. When I turned 18 and left for college paid for by Dad, not Mom and Richard, I rarely came home except for Mom's birthday. Dad's apartment became my real home during breaks, and his mother, my grandmother Evelyn, became my rock. After Dad died, Grandma and I grew even closer. I moved into Dad's apartment permanently and tried to rebuild some relationship with Mom, occasionally visiting her and getting to know Ethan, who was growing into a curious, energetic kid. I still felt the sting when Jessica visited with her growing family now with the children and they stayed in my old room. Mom still lit up around them in a way she never did with me. 6 months ago, I got the assignment that took me across the country. Before leaving, Mom offered to help print out my apartment. It could bring in some extra money while you're gone, she suggested over coffee. No thanks, I replied firmly. I don't want strangers living there. Mom pressed her lips together, but nodded. Well, I'll keep an eye on it for you. I still have the spare key you gave me last year. Life in the staff housing was lonely but manageable. I called Grandma Evelyn weekly, and we'd chat about everything and nothing. Last Thursday's call changed everything. Claire, Grandma's voice sounded different, tighter, hesitant. I'm not one to gossip, but Marge Henderson from my bridge club lives in your building and she mentioned something that concerned me. My stomach tightened. What about my apartment? Another pause. Marge says Jessica and her family moved in shortly after you left. According to her, your mother and Richard helped them move in. The betrayal hit me like ice water. That can't be right, I said. But even as the words left my mouth, I knew it was exactly the kind of thing Mom would do. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I thought you should know. After hanging up, I immediately called Mom, forcing my voice to stay casual. Hey, Mom. Just checking in. Is everything okay with my apartment? Oh, yes. Everything's fine, she answered it quickly. How's work going? Right. Actually, I have an old college friend who needs a place to stay. I told her she might be able to use my apartment. She'll stop by to get the key from you. The panic in her voice was immediate. Oh Claire, I don't think that's a good idea. You always said you didn't want strangers in your place. Something might get damaged, and you're so particular about your things. Mom, I cut her off, my patience snapping. I know Jessica and her family are living in my apartment. A silence confirmed everything. Claire, she finally said with a sigh. Yes, it's true, but they had nowhere else to go. Their landlord sold their building in with the housing market. He did this behind my back, I interrupted. He knew I didn't want anyone staying there. Jessica isn't anyone, Mom snapped. She's family. She's Richard's daughter. She's nothing to me. Don't be childish, Claire. This is temporary. You're not even using the apartment right now. I want them out today. And I want you to give my spare key to Grandma. Mom's voice hardened. Jessica will stay as long as she needs to. You don't need the apartment right now anyway. It's my apartment, Mom. I have to go, she said coldly and hung up. I called back immediately, but she didn't answer. I tried Jessica's number straight to voicemail. I paced my tiny staff apartment, rage building with each step. 6 months of paying utilities on an apartment I wasn't using, only to find out my mother had moved her stepfamily in behind my back. I picked up my phone again and called my boss. Frank, it's Claire. I need to request a transfer back to the home office. It's a family emergency. Frank didn't ask questions. I'd proven myself valuable enough that when I said I needed to go home, he approved it within the hour. The flight home felt endless. Every minute that ticked by fueled my anger. By the time we landed, I had rehearsed a dozen different confrontations in my head, none of them ending well. I grabbed my suitcase from the carousel and caught a taxi straight to Grandma Evelyn's house. Her face lit up when she opened the door, but concern quickly replaced her smile. Claire, I didn't expect you back so soon. She pulled me into a hug, her familiar scent of lavender and coffee instantly comforting. I couldn't stay away after what you told me. I dropped my suitcase in her entryway. I need to see what they've done to my place. I'll make us some tea first, she insisted. You look exhausted. While she busied herself in the kitchen, I called my boss to let him know I'd arrived safely. Then I sat at Grandma's kitchen table, watching her move efficiently around the small space. Have you spoken to Mom since you called me? I asked. Grandma shook her head. Margaret and I haven't been on speaking terms since your father left her. She set a steaming mug in front of me. But I did drive by your building yesterday. Their car was there and so was yours. My car? I nearly choked on my tea. The one I left in Mom's garage. Grandma nodded grimly. Parked right in front of your building. They're clearly using it without your permission. The thought of them using my things, my apartment, my car without permission made my blood boil. After finishing my tea, I stood up. I'm going over there. I took a taxi to my apartment building, a renovated warehouse with exposed brick and large windows. I'd fallen in love with the place the first time Dad showed it to me. Now, standing outside it, I felt like a stranger. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor and walked down the familiar hallway to apartment 307, my apartment. Taking a deep breath, I knocked firmly on the door. Silence. I knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing, though I could have sworn I heard movement inside. Finally I pulled out my keys and tried to unlock the door, but the key wouldn't turn. The lock had been changed. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered, pounding on the door again. I know you're in there. This is my apartment. After 5 more minutes of knocking with no response, I gave up and stormed back to the street, calling a taxi to take me to Mom and Richard's house. Our suburban home looked exactly as it had 6 months ago. Pristine lawn, trimmed hedges, the swing set Richard had built for Ethan still stand in the backyard. I paid the driver and marched up to the front door, ringing the bell with more force than necessary. Mom opened the door, her face shifting from surprise to something harder when she saw me. Richard appeared behind her, his arms crossed over his chest.